Welcome everybody, I am here today to bring you a really exciting video. I've been watching these videos all over YouTube about autumn knitting inspiration. Lots of them are themed, so I decided to bring you my own in with the things that I'm into at the moment and things that I might knit for autumn. So I'm going to be bringing you some themes of a quintessential countryside autumn, and these will include little references to English granny style, which is kind of a new thing that I'll get into a little bit later. Also some inspiration from the TV series All Creatures Great and Small. And lastly, a little bit of inspiration from Croftercore, I'm going to call it. Can you even make up your own core? Anyway, so let's get into it. I have been getting really interested in knitting a full colourwork garment. So a while ago, I've watched all the series of All Creatures Great and Small, and I'm going to pop some photos here of some of the main characters and their knitwear. All Creatures Great and Small is about a veterinary practice set in the Lake District, I believe, pre-war and during the Second World War era. So there's a lot of tighter fitting garments and a lot of colour work, sort of Fair Isle type colour work, a lot of vests, and they pair it a lot with cords, like thick cords, brown cords, green cords, and that's a look I really like. So I picked out a few patterns that I found on Ravelry that I felt kind of took a little reference of that style, and hopefully it'll give you a little bit of inspiration. So the first pattern that I've picked is the RAWNSLEY, I think that's how you say it, by Susan Crawford Vintage. This is an all over colourwork pattern. It is knit, I think, from the bottom up, and it's staked at the arms and the neck. I think this pattern is based on an old pattern that was originally only in one size in possibly a magazine. I love the colours that she's picked for this. This is the classic autumnal colours that I love, and this is one that I'm pretty sure I'm going to knit this autumn winter. It's probably going to be quite a long project, but I love the way she put the colours together in this, and I think it would make for a really interesting knit. I've had a lot of knits recently that are, I'll not say boring, but sort of more simple, and I just really want to cast on something a bit more challenging. It's a sport weight pattern and it uses 6 colours, and I think that's it for this pattern. The next pattern I would like to chat to you about is the Mammoth cardigan by Kristen Drysdale. It is another all over colourwork garment. Cardigan, unlike the pullover, but it's also staked at the armhole and the centre front body. It's a finger and weight pattern, and it only uses 3 colours, so it'd be a lot more simple to knit this, I think. It's probably something I've looked at this pattern for a long time and thought, yeah, maybe I should knit this. Possibly not something I'm going to knit this winter, but something that I would definitely consider in the future. The pattern's been out for a while. It was originally published in Line magazine, so if you have one of the first issues, I think it was in one of those actually. I do have it myself. So that's the all over colour work that I've been quite inspired by. Next up we have a cardigan vest, I'm going to call it, by Susan Crawford Vintage. It's called the MAGGY, or just Maggie actually. It is knitted in the round and it is also staked up the centre front. Haven't written down how many colours here it takes, but it's quite a few, I think maybe 5 or 6. And I thought this really referenced the vest that Tristan wears in All Creatures Great and Small. Again, I love the colours that she used for this, the greens and the burgundies and greys and stuff, so I just think that's a really nice autumnal reference there. Another vest that I've been looking at for a long time is the ROOSTY by Ella Gordon. This uses 5 colours and is staked at the armholes and neck. It was originally published, I believe, in a Shetland Wool Week annual maybe, but it's one that I've looked at for a long time and just really loved the look of. I think it has a more modern touch, being more boxy, but I think the colour work, which is I think traditional small Shetland colour work patterns, definitely does have that kind of vintage feel. I know Ella's into collecting vintage Shetland knitwear as well, which is really cool, so I guess she gets a lot of inspiration from that. Lastly in this section I have the Ola Yoke, also by Ella Gordon. This is a pattern I actually own as well. Seems I have a couple of these already. And it's one that I've actually swatched for. It has 6 colours, it's knit from the bottom up, and I'm going to show you my swatch now. I swatched this I think last autumn, and I do plan on knitting this. I'm not sure if I'll do it this winter or maybe I'll do it more in the spring. I swatched this in my Causeway yarn in some different colours that I naturally dyed. So I inverted the pattern. It's originally with the dark colour as the main colour, but I planned on doing it in the undyed white because it's such a lovely cream. Since making this swatch, I forgot what needle size I used, so I'll have to do it again. But this is definitely something I plan on knitting, and I use my Causeway yarn, did I say that? Which is coming back into the shop in the next few months. So I will endeavour to start this. Also, since I actually did cast this on, but I stopped for some reason, and I've changed sizes a little bit since then, so I'm going to remeasure and see if I need to knit a different size or not. So that was the Ola Yoke by Ella Gordon. Next section is my Croftercore section. I was watching High Fibre Knits, I think her YouTube channel is called, and she did one of these videos and she talked about tomato soup core, which I thought was so funny. So now I'm making one that's called Croftercore. And these are patterns that I imagine someone on a croft in the Highlands of Scotland would be wearing out, practical gear, more slightly stripped back design aesthetic maybe, apart from a couple of things which I want a bit flashy on, but anyway, this is just for inspiration. Things which I can imagine when you're out tending your sheep or doing things, I don't know, what do crofters do? All the things that crofters do. If I was a crofter, this is what I would wear basically. So first up we have the Last Long Swear, which is by ALBIONA, who is one of my favourite designers. She's quite local to me and she often designs in my yarns. This one was actually designed in my Heart Decay yarn, which is a blend of Blueface Leicester and Jacob. And I know this was inspired by traditional fishermen's sweaters, so it uses fisherman's rib. It's knitted from the top down, and she designed it in this colour seaweed, the colourway seaweed, which I love this colour, and I will definitely be bringing a bit of this into my autumn knitting. She also, I think, has a cardigan version of this and a beret too. Something else that I would really imagine wearing on a croft is the Harvest Season Shawl by ALBIONA. This is a really huge shawl design that is worked in the round and staked, I believe. There's a lot of staking in this inspiration video, so I hope you don't mind that. and the lace motif on it is supposed to evoke wheat fields rustling in the breeze, so I thought it was a really apt pattern to go in my Croftercore section. I love the colour she's chosen for it as well. It's a DK weight pattern, I don't know if I said that, in a really lovely dark evergreen, so I think that really brings in that nice autumnal feel. Couple more garments. The next one I thought would be really good is the AGNETE cardigan by Petite Knit, just because it's quite stripped back looking and quite simple and practical. It is actually brioche, although it looks simple. I'm sure it's not that simple to knit. It's brioche, it's top down, and it's also got some double knitting in there, which my Levitate wrap had a lot of, and I really enjoyed doing. It's also DK weight, so you could use any DK weight yarn. You could use my half DK. So this could potentially be a good one. The poppy red colour she used in her design is probably not what I would go for if I was going for the kind of crofter vibe. I'd probably go for something a lot more understated and autumnal, something a bit more muted, less loud for me. The poppy red colour really had a moment in the summer. I think it's still there. I'm actually knitting a hat in that colour at the moment. It's a really cool colour, but probably not for the Croftercore. I would probably knit this in a nice dark green, or possibly a more, yeah, probably maybe a dark brown. That could be nice. So yeah, that's the AGNETE cardigan by Petite Knit. The last garment in this section is the COLLETT jacket by VITRE design. This is a sport weight, I'm going to call it a cardigan. It looks more like a cardigan than a jacket to me. It's also top down. It looks quite simple, just a really simple, robust cardigan for everyday wear. Love the colour VITRE design chose for this design, and I would probably go with something kind of similar, or possibly a nice russety, orangey type of colour. It's sport weight, if I haven't said that already. Now I have some hat recommendations or some inspiration for this section. I go a little off-piste here at the end, but you'll understand why, I'm sure. So the first hat pattern in this section is the MARLED beanie by VANESSA PELLISA. It's a finger and weight pattern, and I guess you hold 2 strands together to get this effect, and it is also reversible, and she gives instructions for knitting it in both directions, so you can start whatever way you want. It means you can knit it twice probably, and you wouldn't be bored, you know, because you can knit it in a different way each time, which is really cool. I would say this is quite like a hipster kind of hat as well, but also I could see how it could be worn by like a crofter or a farmer as well, maybe. So that's the first hat. The second hat is the Shendale hat by Hazel Tyndall. This hat is, yeah, slightly off-piste for the Croftercore thing I was going for, but you can wear a colour work hat if you're a crofter, can't you? This one has 7 colours, quite a lot of colours, and it has a really beautiful crown pattern that I thought would work really well with some of these more pared back sweaters and cardigans. So I would imagine, I'm not sure how many colours you would knit with at once in this, but I've watched quite a few videos recently about Shetland knitting and talking about colour choosing, so I love the colours in this. I think they're really autumnal, they go so well together, and it's really beautiful design that I haven't seen that many people knitting, not recently anyway. Okay, so this is where we go really off piste and I have 2 kept designs that I I just really want to knit one of these. I didn't know how to describe them, and then I realised they were called keps. I was calling them wee willy winky hats. So the first one is the North Coast Kep by Sky Knits Designs. It uses 5 to 8 colours depending on what size you knit, I believe. And I love the little tassel in the end. I think it really could add a bit, it would make for a really interesting knit, I think, because of all the colour work. And then I think the brim is folded under, and then yeah, you've the little tassel hanging down, which is so cool. And it would really be something different. I've never seen anyone wear, apart from a knitter, wear anything like this, not around here anyway. And it would look, obviously, like if you have a colour work jumper on, you probably have a coat on, so you wouldn't be wearing both the hat and the jumper at the same time necessarily. This is a new design. It's just been published, and I think there's still, I'm not sure when this will be published, so I don't want to say, but there was a little discount on it. So this is one that I do plan on making myself this winter, and it will be a really fun addition to my winter wardrobe. The last hat in this section is another kep. It's by Mary MacGregor, and it's called the K2 5 colour kep. I'm not sure why it's called K2, if that's after the mountain. Maybe she climbed the mountain with the hat on. That'd be cool. This one, like the Chandelle hat, is knit in a light finger and weight. It's also stranded colour work, and they're, like the name suggests, 5 colours, only this kep has a substantial turn up on the outside, which looks really cool, I think. Yes, I could go either way and knit either this one or the North Coast kep. I think they're both really cool, but this is another option. It has a slightly bigger, more graphic looking pattern on the turn up, which is really nice. And I think if you knitted it in the right colours, in the nice autumnal hues, I think it could look really good. So that wraps up the Croftercore section, and the next section is English Granny. A while ago, I think last summer and maybe the summer before, you might have seen coastal grandmother was kind of a style that was going about on YouTube and Instagram around knitters. It was kind of like, I'm gonna say like a posh granny meets the beach. There was a lot of neutral colours, a lot of dark navies, there were some cables, definitely. The Sophie scarf was definitely part of that look. I would say petite knit seems to be the ultimate coastal grandmother vibe. So I've put together some patterns here that kind of go for a more English granny vibe. Has maybe more frilly details or lacy details, and just something that you'd imagine a wee English granny wearing in her little house in some beautiful part of England, like the Lake District, or I don't know, I have no idea, I'm just making this up now. Again, I would say the English granny style has more of a maybe not wartime feel, but like 40s and 50s vibe than coastal grandmother. It doesn't really take references from vintage knitwear, I don't think. It's more like modern and clean lines and that type of look. So I think English granny is a bit more of a fitted silhouette, as well as maybe some lacy details. So yes, I've got a few pattern ideas here for you. So the first one that I thought was really nice was the Timepiece Pullover by ALBIONA. It's a sport weight to light DK, and to me this one definitely looks quite vintage, quite 40s, 30s, 40s kind of vibe. It has an integrated neckband, so that would be quite interesting to knit in this format, I think. And the inspiration for this was horology and time travel, so that's quite interesting in itself. I definitely feel like there's some like mystery type books with these themes from that era, so this could be a really cool one to knit, and it's definitely one that I'll probably knit in the spring, possibly. I think it will be a really nice piece for, yeah, spring, and I will definitely go for the long sailor thingy at the back. Thingy, sorry. The next pattern I thought would fit quite well into English granny style is the MARILYN turtleneck by Fibre Knitwear. It's knitted in finger and weight yarn, and it's quite fitted, as you can see. It's got a little bit of a puff sleeve, and I think it can be knitted with the mock neck or the turtleneck. It's knitted in this really nice cream colour, which I really like, but it might not be super practical for my life right now, so I might go for a more autumnal shade possibly, although it is nice to always have a lighter shade or two in your wardrobe. Yeah, has the fitted silhouette that I think would work for English granny, as well as the next one I'm going to show you, which is the heirloom jumper, another pattern by Fibre Knitwear, in a nice chestnut brown colour with this beautiful lace panel down the front, which I think would be really fun to knit. I think, yeah, it has a very similar silhouette to the MARILYN turtleneck, but has this lovely addition of the lace panel, which I think definitely harks back to kind of wartime vibes and 40s, that kind of look. And I think both of these would look really good with kind of more baggier cords, like thick cords, which I have a pair of, and I think it would look really nice together. Yeah, so those are both finger and weight patterns, so that makes it easy to find yarn. The next few things I have are accessories in this category. The next one I've chosen is the Woods Haven Shawl by TIMEPIECE. This is a pattern I actually own, and I have thought about knitting loads of times, and I really need to get on and just do it. It has a lovely lace detail, and I love her choice of neutral and green together. I think they're really lovely, and I think it fits in with to the English granny style a little bit because of the lace panel, and I think it would be a really relaxing knit actually, so that is one that I will definitely be thinking about casting on. Second to last accessory in the English granny style is the Sophie scarf, of course. This little neckerchief kind of thing is having a moment. There's loads of different ones that are out there at the moment. La Bien-Aimée has one called Le Bandana. There's definitely a few others that I've seen as well. And I think this fits perfectly into both the coastal grandmother look and the English granny look. And I have plans to knit another one of these in a yarn that I was given as a present. It's a lovely yarn from Used Wool. It's sport weight, I think, and it is a lovely kind of mushroomy it's kind of like a creamy browny colour. So I have plans to knit a Sophie scarf in that, just because I think it'll go with everything and it'll look really nice. The last accessory I have in this category is the Stock and Pip Beret by Albina McLaughlin. I have actually already knitted these. I think I've already knitted this pattern, and I think it is one that fits really well into English granny. I think berets in general fit really well into the English granny category, and it's something that I would definitely knit another one of. It fits my head really well. A lot of hats tend to fall off my head for some reason. Albina's patterns, her hats especially, the tailor's rib beret and the tailor's rib hat and the Stock and Pip beret, both fit really well in my head, and they're designed that way. I found it a really fun and interesting knit, and I used one of my limited edition yarns, I'll put a photo here, with two strands held together, and the yarn just melded together really nicely to make a thicker DK weight yarn. I think you can use the Sophie scarf was DK weight as well, and the Stocking Pip Beret is DK weight. So I think I would possibly knit another one of these. I'm not sure what colour, maybe something a little bit lighter, maybe a yellow. Would that be too out there? A yellow beret. I also seen that Donna Smith has a really nice beret that is going to be published in this year's Shetland Wool Week Annual. I'll try and find a photo and put it here as well. I think it probably doesn't fit exactly into English Granny. I'm going to say it's more Croftercore because it's Donna Smith. But I think that would also be a really nice beret to knit this autumn winter. I don't know when that'll be out as an individual pattern, but it will be available in the Shetland Wool Week Annual this year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a whirlwind of the 3 styles that I'm into, and that I definitely mashed them all together into my own. This is my own personal style. It's not a trend particularly that I'm seeing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see what I actually end up knitting from this list, or maybe I'll knit something else, who knows, keep an eye out for another video which I'm planning to make about what I'm actually going to make this autumn winter. So if you enjoyed that, feel free to subscribe for more if you desire, if you so desire, and I will see you next time. I have a studio renovation video coming up. I need to do a podcast because I've got some finished objects, as you might have noticed, and yeah, so there's loads of good content coming up this autumn. So hope you enjoyed that. Leave me a wee comment, tell me what you're going to knit if you're into these styles, and or if you're not, that's totally fine, and I will catch you next time. Bye.